Welcome to the Opportunity Zones podcast. I'm Jimmy Atkinson, joining you on site at the 2025 Novogradac Opportunity Zone Summit at the Four Seasons Hotel on the Las Vegas Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm joined today by Jason Watkins. He's chairman of this conference, and he also is the leader of the Novogradac Opportunity Zones Working Group. Jason, thanks for joining the show. Welcome. Really pleased to be here with you today.
I'm happy to have you here. This has been a fantastic event so far. We're about halfway through the day, so we've still got some more to go, but really great show, great crowd, a lot of great information and networking happening here, so thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and this is triple the size of the conferences that you had previously had for Opportunity Zones the last few years. There's a lot more excitement in the room. There's excitement last year and the year before too, sure, but it seems like the industry is poised for a lot of growth given the OZ 2.0 and the permanency that has been implemented as a result of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Are you feeling the excitement, the renewed energy here?
Last year there was a lot of energy as well. It was the day after the election, so we were hopeful at that point that there would be some type of Opportunity Zones legislation that would come along. Little did we know that some 7 months later we would have permanency of the OZ incentive. So there's a tremendous amount of excitement in this room.
It happened a lot faster than I thought it would, honestly.
Yeah, it really did, but no complaints.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned we're at your conference right now.
Yes.
Hosted by Novogradac and Company. Can you tell us a little bit about the Novogradac Opportunity Zone Summit? It's an annual conference that you host. What is this? Where are we? Who should be here? Who is here?
Yeah, who is here is really a great cross-section of the entire OZ industry. We've got a lot of attorneys, consultants, there's accountants here, there's investors, there's qualified opportunity funds, opportunity zone businesses, really, and you, Jimmy, wherever you fit into that, you're here too. So we have just a fantastic cross-section of the entire OZ stakeholder group. So.
And talk about some of the, I want to do a little rundown of some of the programming we've seen so far.
Sure.
Maybe you can highlight at a high level what type of panels and speakers do we have here?
Sure. I mean, we're looking at the impacts of what's changed from Opportunity Zones 2.0 from 1.0. We've had input. We had our keynote speaker this morning was Oman from Treasury, who is going to be very deeply involved in the creation of the regulations, both updating the existing regulations for Treasury as well as the additions that will be necessary due to Opportunity Zones 2.0. So it was great to hear from him, get at least some initial thoughts of where things are going and what our timelines might be. A lot of things are still up in the air, so a lot of things couldn't be shared yet. But it was still great to have that and to know, and he was very thankful to the Novogradac OZ Working Group for providing commentary and recommendations over what some of the regulations should contain. So they're definitely receptive to our commentary in our recommendations, which is fantastic. So we've had that. We had a keynote address and a welcome speech from Senator Tim Scott. We had a similar from Secretary Scott Turner from HUD, and then panels all day long. We started the day with a really interesting fireside chat between Novogradac and Company managing partner Michael Novogradac and John Lettieri from Economic Innovation Group, and John is basically one of the fathers, essentially, of the Opportunity Zone incentive. And they recounted 10 years ago, almost to the day, where they first started talking about Opportunity Zones. So this is in 2015. This is a year before the Investing in Opportunities Act was even introduced, 2 years before this became law as part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
And just a few months after EIG released that white paper that essentially first conceptualized the idea of Opportunity Zones, right?
Right, yeah.
And then John reached out to Mike to bring him in, right?
Yeah, reached out to bring in Mike from an accounting, from a community development and accounting, and that type of viewpoint to look at it. They made some revisions to things and changed things around, and because of that, we have that was the seed of the OZ tree.
Yeah.
That's really where it started.
Yeah. So we're really at the, let's see, 2017 to 2015. What is that? That's 8 years. We're really approaching the 8-year anniversary of the implementation, the enactment of the Opportunity Zone Statute 1400Z-1N-2 came into being December 22, 2017, close to 8 years ago. But the idea, 10 years old this month, basically.
Yeah, it goes back 10 years, and it's been interesting to watch it develop. Certainly,
it has. And you mentioned a moment ago the Opportunity Zones Working Group, the Novogradac OZWG. A lot of the members are at this conference today. A lot of them are speaking. We had a meeting of that group yesterday, an in-person meeting, which doesn't happen very often because we meet once a month on Zoom, but it was really fun to see everybody in the same room together. We had some people join remotely, but tell us a little bit about the Opportunity Zone Working Group and that meeting yesterday.
Sure. I mean, the Opportunity Zones Working Group, we put that together in 2017 as a way to help develop best practices for the Opportunity Zone incentive for use by practitioners out there, and also as a way to provide recommendations and commentary both to Treasury as well as to legislatures on what the regulations should look like, what any type of new legislation should contain. Ideally, these are all recommendations, they're not all taken, but a lot of them were. And we certainly have a consensus between our group. It consists of practitioners and stakeholders in the Opportunity Zone space. So a lot of the people that are here at the conference, as Jimmy mentioned, are also part of our working group. We meet monthly. We look at proposed Treasury regulations. We look at proposals we're making to Treasury for regulations. And again, developing best practices, how to deal with certain really sometimes complex technical issues. But then also keeping an eye on advocacy and really keeping an eye on what's going on at the federal level as well as the state level as it relates to the OZ incentive.
Let's talk about the conference, some of what we've seen so far. You mentioned that Treasury official Eric Lamond joined remotely earlier today, and he recapped a lot of IRS Notice 2025-50, which basically released the full list of which OZ 1.0 tracks the Treasury Department has officially deemed as rural.
Right.
And so that's very important, and they clarified some bits about the new reduced substantial improvement requirement for rural. One interesting thing that he said, though, kind of looking forward to upcoming, what's forthcoming from Treasury, right? We need some more regulatory guidance from them as we transition from OZ 1.0 to OZ 2.0. He did point out that overlap in zones. He made specific mention of that without getting into detail about how they were going to rule on that and exactly what the regulatory guidance was going to look like. But broad strokes, he informed us regs are coming. We are aware of this overlap issue where we're going to have a new map come out January 1, 27. The current zones don't expire until the end of 2028. So that was helpful for me to hear that they're working on that and something's forthcoming.
That was actually a bit of breaking news.
Yeah.
Because we had not seen any confirmation that there would be an overlap of zones.
Ah, okay.
So that was, I thought, was quite interesting.
I guess we had already assumed that, but that was good confirmation from a Treasury
well,
official.
There's this sort of tortured analysis that you can do based on the way the statute is written that maybe there couldn't be overlapping zones. So I thought that was confirmation from Treasury, which I took that as breaking news and was pretty happy to hear it.
Okay. So. See, I didn't even realize that. That just kind of glossed over me. But you're right to point that out.
That was one of the items in our initial guidance comment letter that we sent in to Treasury end of October.
Okay.
Was confirming that. So we got that today. So that was great.
And
certainly acknowledged that there are going to need to be regulations around this transition. That was great to hear.
Absolutely.
Because without something, there would be a lot of hesitancy, I think, to invest.
And it's good. And it's good to hear Eric say that, and the fact that Treasury is working on this. The government shutdown probably didn't help.
It did not help.
Might have delayed things somewhat, but hopefully we get some regulatory guidance at some point, sooner rather than later. Maybe next year at some point, and certainly we'll get something from Treasury next year. They'll owe all of the states the official list of eligible tracks. We just got word from the Census Bureau a few days ago that their ACS data set that the Treasury Department is likely to use, which will be the ACS 5-year data for the years 2020 through 2024, those were originally scheduled to come out next week.
Yeah,
December 11th.
Yeah.
I had been saying December 12th before. Maybe I missed it by a date. So December 11th, that release has now been pushed back a month and a half to January 29th of 2026. But that is the date that OZ 2.0 designation really starts kicking off, because it's at that point where we'll be able to determine which tracts are eligible, which tracts are not eligible, and then the states will begin their determination period officially on July 1. They'll have a 90 to 100-day period to designate their zones at that point. So this should coincide very nicely with your conference. I'm sure that's no coincidence. By October 29th and 30th, we should have the map of where the zones are.
I think we'll have quite a few of them.
At least an unofficial
I think we'll have quite a few. We may not have them all by then. The timing of the release of that data, though, is potentially an issue, and Eric brought that up during his speaking today, that January 29th is the anticipated release date of this data. The continuing resolution runs out January 30th, so there's potentially another shutdown that could happen without that being addressed. So, Eric did also confirm that they expect, if the release still happens when it's supposed to happen, that 2020 to 2024 ACS data would be the only
He
source.
all but confirmed that.
All but confirmed that.
Which is interesting because it removes the optionality that states had in 2018 during the initial designation period.
They had two different sets of data they could choose from, and it doesn't look like that will be the case, assuming that the ACS data actually gets released when it's supposed to be.
One other big point that I took away from one of the morning panels, the Washington Report, which Michael Novogradac moderated. There were a few other panelists on there. One point that was brought up was the importance of, just because we've gotten OZ 2.0 passed and it's official now and it's permanent, doesn't mean we need to lay off the accelerator pedal in terms of ongoing advocacy. Can you talk about the importance of advocacy for the Opportunity Zone tax incentive? Why is it important to continue to advocate for improvement of the program and ongoing recognition of the program as a positive policy?
Absolutely. It's really important for this ongoing advocacy to continue. If you look at all the things that, all the proposals that we've had as a group of ways to enhance the OZ incentive, we had a list of 10, 14, 15 or more things that we thought would make the OZ incentive stronger. 2 of them made it into OZ 2.0. We got permanency.
That was the big one.
That's the biggest
right?
one.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one, right? We got the rolling 5-year deferral period, also huge, really prevents a lot of issues going forward. But there are a lot of things that we would like to see. Reinvestment of interim gains, focus or additional incentives to help focus investment on affordable housing and job-creating operating businesses, both of which are more difficult to do right now, the way the rules are written. So, perhaps they need a legislative fix, perhaps we can get there through regulations, but regardless, we need to continue that advocacy. We also need to continue education, which, Jimmy, you do an unbelievable job of getting the word out there. But we need to do more of that. We need more and more people to be aware. We need people to, reviewing EIG's reports and analysis. They've done some really great analysis of what the impacts of the OZ incentive have been. Those have not been widely reported. So I think educating stakeholders and potential stakeholders out there of the successes that the OZ incentive is having, like with the immense increase in the volume of housing being created in opportunity zones. EIG's done some great reporting around that. I will refer to their reporting. I don't want to try to recap all of that here.
Well, I'll recap. The big headline number is 416,000 new housing units were created because of the Opportunity Zone tax incentive. They would not have been built but for Opportunity Zones. I just was discussing that with Ashley on the previous podcast.
And it's not, I was speaking with John Lettieri this morning from EIG, and he noticed, look, these aren't houses that were built in Opportunity Zones that would have otherwise been built somewhere else. These were houses that would not have been built at all. And they happen in Opportunity Zones.
And that is impressive.
Yeah,
that's a big number.
That's a big number. That's why rents have stayed more or less stable, even though we've had an inflationary period because of this additional supply.
Very good. Well, we've got a couple more hours of the conference here.
Yes,
I've enjoyed myself so far. Thank you for chairing the conference. I think you've done an incredible job. It's a great turnout we've had here. Preview for us, what's coming in 2026? What are you looking forward to about the Novogradac Opportunity Zone Conference in 2026 in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it's
in late October, right?
Yeah. We're planning for October 29th and 30th. That'll be in Washington, D.C. We'll have registration and hotel information available very soon, but those dates are pretty well set aside. So it'll be a 2-day event. Today's just a 1-day event this year. Next year is going to be a 2-day event, plus the day before, we're going to have a full day of educational type sessions going on. We'll have an OZ 101 and an OZ 201 where people can learn really the basics of the OZ incentive and then some of the more complex parts of it. And those are usually 2.5, 3 hours a piece. Really, there's no better way and no faster way to get exposed to everything you need to know about the OZ incentive than those pre-conference workshops that we do.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. And if anybody's interested in learning more about your organization, that upcoming conference next October, or your Novogradac Opportunity Zones Working Group, where can they go to learn more?
You can go to our website, and I'm sure you'll probably include links in your...
Novoco.com, that's
Yep.
Novoco.com. I will include links in the show notes.
Thanks, Jimmy. But yeah, if you go to Novogradac or Novoco.com, you can click on our Opportunity Zones Resource Center when there and read about all the latest things that are going on, as well as all the things that have happened to date. So there's 7-8 years wealth of knowledge and information that's available on our website.
At the Opportunity Zone Resource Center, I think it's called. So
yes.
Yeah, be sure to check that out. We'll link to that resource in the show notes for today's episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, hit that like button, give us a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or your favorite podcast listening platform to always get the latest episodes. Jason, thanks again for hosting today.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Good to see you.
Thank you.